If you openly carry a firearm, you have to recognize that not only can it have a deterrent effect, but it can also make you a target for theft. Hi everyone, this is John with today's active self-protection lesson out of Colombia, where we are going to see a security guard who is targeted for his firearm. Let's watch and see what happens here, then we'll come back and learn some lessons in a bit. This security guard is just doing his job and doing entry security here. And this guy's like, hey, what do you need? Okay, cool, come on in. And as soon as the guy comes in, he pulls a gun on the guard. And the guard's gonna actually go after it with him and fight him for that. We talk about the 5Ds plus 1 all the time at active self-protection. But the bad guy's gonna get his gun back from the guard here and actually shoots him. Now you can see him go down right there in a lot of pain. Guard's gonna, he's gonna get pushed to the ground there. Bad guy is going to grab his pistol. That was what they were really after. And now he's gonna let his friends in, and you can see that this guard is writhing on the ground in pain. He hasn't really submitted. He has been shot, and the little bit of news I have on this one says that he did not make it, that he subsequently passed away from his injuries, and that's all they got was the guard's gun, and they didn't steal anything else. That may have been what they were after because they're high-value items, and that unfortunately is how this one ends. I have a question for you out of this one. Have you ever trained about not only defending your firearm from being taken, but also disarming someone? Or is that something you've only seen on channels like this? Let me know what your thoughts are in the poll. I think some significant discussion out of this one has to center around the 5Ds plus 1 when you don't have a gun in the fight. Number 2, about knowing when to comply and wait for your turn. And number 3, about spiritual fitness and its importance for all self-defenders. So we got to think about some significant lessons out of this one. As the guard opens the door, you got to recognize you're always on in these instances. And as he lets the guy go past him here, he's not on high alert. He's not in his ninja kung fu moves, but he's got to recognize that there are times when things can go bad. And especially when that bad guy first comes through, that when that person comes through, you don't know, you haven't vetted them yet if they're okay. So being on the alert in that moment for a furtive gesture is incredibly important. Of course, not gun in hand or anything like that. But in these times where you might have a bigger chance of being attacked, you gotta be on alert to see what goes wrong. So the guy pulls that gun out of appendix, turns right around, and he's on him. Now I want you to notice that our bad guy here is pretty upright, and the guard has to make a decision here. Well, listen, the guy's got a gun out and on him. You cannot draw on a drawn gun, so it is not time for the guard to draw his gun here. It is instead the time for him to practice his empty-handed skills. This is one of the reasons I say if you're a self-defender, just having gun skills is not enough to protect yourself from the vast majority of criminal violence that we see. Empty-handed skills are key. And we see here that the guard's gonna go at him, but as he does, he kind of paws at the guy's gun. And do you notice here that the bad guy has now spread his feet? He started using his leveraging arm. So knowing how to defeat the leveraging arm, knowing how to keep a bad guy from getting a good solid base like this is something that you really can't learn on YouTube, friends. You gotta get to the mat. You gotta get into some kind of a training environment where they pressure test, where not only do they teach technique, but they actually do it with resisting opponents who have a malevolent will. And that's where you learn how to do this kind of stuff. So he's trying to pull at it, but the guy's not able to get it because he's keeping him away with the leveraging arm. And even though through that, our guard actually gets both hands on the gun. This was his great opportunity. So when we say in the 5Ds plus 1, first you control the distance, then you have to deflect so the gun doesn't get you. Next you dominate. And the worst thing to dominate, the least advantageous, is to dominate the tool, the gun in this particular case. Better than that, the hand. Better than that, the whole arm. Better than that, the whole person. Because he only has the gun here, and so our bad guy is very quickly going to be able to get a positional dominance back and get the gun away from him. It's very ephemeral when you only have the gun, and this bad guy is able to get it back away from him. And you can see there he has that gun in hand and uses it there. And now our guard is fatally wounded. And you got to recognize here one thing is that he wanted his pistol. So we can talk about the benefits, the merits, or the demerits of open carry versus concealed carry all day. Just recognize, I think that open carry should be legal all across the United States and everywhere in the world. However, if you are open carrying, recognize that that firearm is a very valuable thing, and particularly in places in Central and South America, it is so high value because they're very hard to get that the guards and police officers are routinely killed for their firearms. So if you have those, make sure that you know how to defend it and know that it makes you an additional target. Finally, friends, we need to talk about spiritual fitness. This guard wasn't waking up this day and thinking that it was going to be his last day. So you want to make sure that you've said everything that you need to say to your family, that you don't leave anything unsaid to your loved ones, and that you and Jesus have a strong relationship. Because on that last day of your life, you're going to want both of those things to be the case, and you may not have an additional warning to get there. Unfortunately, this guard didn't quite have the skills to cover his asp.